Nammo Layi Gedan Ludan Nujinike Tubum Tadan Mi Genam Tang Ruwa Kunjidaki Zambar Tamji Gedudagi Chuten To Daja Ki Tamba Nyame Tupewambi Shabjidur Mamebala Govi Rabdu Tude Gosum Kipachimbe Chansar Sing Japsu Chiwo 다자 게 빨든 라마 리다 찡쿠르잔주 찹다 가든 송바메베 때르첨본 초게 협지돌 트맘메 발랑 고 랍도드데 고숨 급바쳔베 찬터싱 접수 치우 다도 심지에 탐지지 주 진질라벌 제도 솔 원나 남가단 냠베 심진 담잔 남잔 라나메 바양 타버 조베 산지지 공파르 버체라 거버 차 대이 체도 달람 담베 추사몬 체발라 추님베 꿀혼다 군전 남버다베 센서 텔라 강선버세베 추네 Greetings for everyone. As per request, part of the living wisdom, the legend of the Great Mahasiddhas, that is what I will deliberate today. And in this subject, legend of the Mahasiddha, the Great Mahasiddha, each one of these have significance. So first, legends. Why legends? Because right now, the Great Mahasiddhas biographies are there. But that kind of mahasiddhas with that kind of miraculous power, I haven't seen in the same way. But of course, I have seen many great masters with so much power of compassion, power of wisdom, yes. But that kind of supernatural, miraculous power is another thing. So therefore, the word legend becomes sort of relevant until we encounter one, or we ourselves reach that level of not only the internal enlightenment, but external also manifestation. Then Great Mahasiddha, because Siddha and Mahasiddha have definitely its own meaning, and the Great Mahasiddha have its own meaning. Because Siddha means achievement. So you can have achievement of all kinds. So in today's world, there's so many Siddha, because we have so much achievement through scientific and medical technology, and also advancement in all level. So therefore, that kind of achievement is there. But Mahasiddha means without a tool, by your body, speech and mind, have siddha and achievement that you can manifest. So that is quite different in this particular context, because performing achievement and a great feat by the assistance of technology. For example, first level bodhisattva can manifest in 100 places at the same time, every manifestation perfect at all time. So that is the true mahasiddha. But technologically speaking, with this kind of technology which we are using, we can appear in more than 100 homes, and also more than in the palm of 100 person, thousands, by millions we can manifest. But that is not mahasiddha. It is a siddha of a certain kind, with the technology's assistance. Then Great Mahasiddha and mahasiddha itself, there is a difference, because mahasiddha and siddha, both of them, without the dependence on technology, then there is limited but supernatural accomplishment, which is more like a born, achieved through practicing a particular spiritual practice, and you are given some kind of supernatural power. So that is siddha, and that supernatural power is less to do with selfishness, less to do with ego, less to do with attachment and pride and anger and jealousy, then it will be mahasiddha. But then, with no limitation at all, will be great mahasiddha. Not one siddha, not two siddha, not three siddha, but actually there's 8 of them, but to save the time, we will not go into it. But anyway, this kind of siddhi is not a great mahasiddha, because there is limitation. And if it is a born given to you, then it also can be taken away. So it is not that secure, and because it is not deep. Now, the legend of the Great Mahasiddhas. Now, in Tibetan language, Drupchen, Drupachembo, Drupchen, and Ngutup, and Drupa. So, Ngutup is like given, like a born. But literally speaking, but this word can be used for also other higher context. But actually, Ngutup means Ngutup given, and then Ngutup Nyepa. Nyepa means you become accomplishment, like a mahasiddha. And then choge, ngutup or choge, trupa, thopa. Thopa means become. It is not getting from somewhere outside. That will be limited. But you become, then it will be unconditional and limitless, and it has to be non-dualistic. So we can describe that, I think, with English language, maybe accomplished about itself by itself without any aid or obstacles or obscurations or obstructions. So not dependent, independent, terminologically speaking. Now, so this way, how do you, as a Buddhist, relate to the attainment and achievement and becoming? Well, in the Lord Buddha's teaching, the first teaching, which is for the brand new disciples, he had 5 disciples right after his enlightenment. To be precise, 7 weeks after his enlightenment. Then the teaching derived from there is focusing on overcoming the suffering of samsara. So that means by being born with this body itself is suffering, because it can be sick, it can be injured, it needs so much care, and it needs so many things. And positively speaking, it can feel, it can do things. But at the same time, if we become overwhelmed by the feelings and so on and so forth, then we will suffer, because we become attached to certain feelings, we have developed aversions to certain feelings, and when that happens, we like it, and the more we like it, more we are attached to it, then we are more worried about losing it, and when we lose it, then we suffer, and then jealousy and ego pride and stinginess and fear and obsession and all kinds of things. Physical, mental, oral, let's say, capacity that we have to exercise. If we are a very good singer, that's wonderful. We feel very good. But I know very good singers, very well known. But some of them told me that each time they go on the stage, they are worried about something will go wrong with their voice and all kinds of things. They say it is nonsense because they have sang the same song several times and many other songs and performed, but there's a stage fright that happens many times. Of course, some might not have, but most of them have. Most of whom I used to know, they tell me that they have. And so the same way, the physical, oral, and mental, everything. So we are at the edge, and that itself is suffering. By definition, Buddha describes samsara is suffering. By being born, this body itself is limited, it is suffering. We don't have to look at it a negative way, but we have to admit my body is not so celestial. It is not a body of light. It is body of flesh, blood, and bone, covered with the skin. We have to use very good quality products on our skin. Otherwise, skin disease can happen, and aging can happen. All kinds of things. It happens. So that way, the first teaching is to help us overcome all aspects of suffering by overcoming the cause and conditions of those suffering. As a result of that, when we are zero with the cause and conditions of the suffering, then the suffering itself, the ignorance, attachment, aversion, and then jealousy and pride. So when we fear, when we overcome all of these, fear is in fact more of a outcome. So all of that, then we reach the state of zero. So the cessation of cause and conditions and the seat of all of the suffering, then we reach the nirvana, which is total state of peace and tranquility. And of course, you can experience it. I can experience it. I have experienced it from time to time, and you have experienced it from time to time. I am quite certain. But our experience is not realization, because experience comes and goes. Realization stays. Today is a very hot weather outside. Okay, there's no cloud in the sky right now. So if there is a beautiful cloud body, and if it is above us, then we feel so good under the shade. And immediately under that shade, 10 degree or 5 degree Celsius will be down. So we feel so comfortable. But that's the experience. Because that cloud came and that cloud will go. So we cannot rely on our experience. We cannot just sit there and fall asleep. And when you wake up, you might get a heat stroke, because sunstroke, because temperature is 35, 45 degrees. And then while you are sleeping very comfortably, the cloud went away, then you cannot expect comfortable results. And so you get the best to the best, you will get sunburn. Worst to the worst, you can get the heat stroke, sunstroke. So, like this. So experience is not realization. So you truly become that peace, that tranquility. That is the sacred word arhat. So the attainment, the realization of the first teaching of Buddha is arhat. And during the lifetime of Buddha, many arhats, hundreds and hundreds of arhats. Of course, some attained much earlier, and some took long time. For example, with the Buddha's personal attendant, the Ananda, he attained arhathood after Buddha's paranirvana, after Buddha passed away. So like that takes long time, for shorter time. But most of the arhats took about 15 to 20 years of absolute practice of Vinaya. Monk and nun have separately different Vinaya vow. So if you are monk or nun, you follow that particular Vinaya disciplines precisely. So why? Because those are designed or manifested from Buddha to overcome our ignorance, our attachment to the things, our attachment to the beings, and then our aversion, and then jealousy and pride that are byproduct of them. So when those conditions are totally, let's say, taken care as observing the perfect Vinaya conduct, then weeks go by, months go by, years go by. At the same time, you are practicing the most important part, because those vows are mainly physical and oral activity related. So the mind, which is most important here, so mind remaining in shamatha, the calm, abiding state, and vipassana, the clarity, the clarity of the calm mind. So 24 hours, day and night, during time of awakened state during the day, or the sleeping and dreaming state at night, at all time, from dawn to dusk, from dusk to dawn, totally following this body, speech, mind practice, then you attain, not you get some kind of degree, but you attain and you become the nirvana. You become the peace. That is arhathood. So then the second teaching, which is given, started at Rajgir, that there Lord Buddha taught the bodhicitta, the shunyata, the emptiness, teaching of emptiness, the shunyata. And so through this teaching, then the person become more mature, and it will take one way longer time, because one is not aiming towards having and reaching the state of zero, the state of peace and tranquility, of course, up to a certain extent, but meanwhile developing all the qualities of Buddha, which is the potentials that your essence, physical, mental, oral, then all comes down to the mind, essence, and then through the practice, then they are matured. So first thing is like, I wish to reach Buddhahood, to liberate all sentient beings to Buddhahood. So that is an enormous commitment, enormous vow, for an enormous purpose. Not just saying, I wanted to feed all sentient beings with enough food so they don't go hungry. That is wonderful, but that's not Buddhahood. There's many of us who never go hungry, except we go for a diet. But it doesn't mean Buddhahood. So that kind of thought is wonderful, but it is not limited to that. Absolute freedom and absolute liberation. Excuse me. So outcome of that is then there's a 5 path, 10 bhumi, so I will not go into this, but because of the timing. But you become what you motivated to become, what you committed yourself to become. And for that, we take bodhisattva vow. Like the first teaching, we take lay upasaka vow. The monk and nun, bhikshu and bhikshuni vow. There's many levels, but that will be the highest. And then practice accordingly. Then you reach the arhathood. But here, you take the bodhisattva vow. First as an aspiration, then as an actual practice bodhisattva vow. There, you're round the clock, 24/7, 365 days, and in circle, and life after life, century after century, life after life. So this way, then you gradually become Buddha, but to benefit all sentient beings to reach Buddhahood. So that is what we call bodhisattvahood. Earlier I just mentioned one of the many qualities of first level bodhisattva, that is physical manifestation. Limited, but not limited as we are or I am. I cannot manifest in one place at one time perfectly, not even for 1 hour. Ultimately perfect for not even 1 minute. Then that bodhisattva gradually. So if I give you superficial number, so second level bodhisattva, 100 times more limitless than the first level. That means 10,000 manifestation. Third level bodhisattva, 1,000,000 manifestation. And so on and so forth. You will go like this tenfolds until, 100-fold until 10th level bodhisattva. And then more. But that is realization of the bodhisattvahood. How can that be possible? Because there are so many sentient beings and so many universe, not to mention sentient beings, actually even just to count the universe, there's so many universe, countless universe. So how can you possibly liberate all of them? How can you achieve that? So that potential is in you. Why? Because your potential, and countless as it may be, numerable as it may be, but their potential is same. In our little solar system, which is part of one unit. So in this 1,000 solar system makes a first unit, and 1,000 of that first unit makes a second 1,000, and then 1,000 of that second unit makes a third 1,000. So third 1,000 is described as one unit. So even this is so big for us. Then we just bring down to our solar system. Then we bring down to our planet Earth. Then planet Earth is full of all kinds of sentient beings, from the highest, the gods, to the lowest, hells, in between spirits and humans and animals and so many things. So in that we just focus on two things that we can see, that is humans and animals. Very much like us physically, so therefore we can see them. But that is also not 100% true, because some form of humans and animals on this earth we cannot see, because their physical constitution is not same to us. But our type of human, our type of animals we see. So that's a large enough number. And so within that, human beings are almost 8 billion. So how can I make all 8 billion sentient beings, human beings, to reach ultimate liberation and freedom? How presumptuous I am even to think about it, attempt about it. From the bodhisattva point of view, no, absolutely not presumptuous. Why? You cannot find any human being or any sentient being on this planet Earth, now we are only talking about the Earth, who don't like to be happy and who like to suffer. You cannot find. Therefore, you do your best to fulfill their wish, and they will do their best to fulfill their wish. Why everybody is so much in agreement, not wanting to suffer and wanting to be happy? The definition of happiness, definition of suffering might differ from one another according to their level of cause and conditions that they involve in their past and which manifests presently. It might differ, but their definition of happiness, their definition of suffering is good enough for us to right now identify ourselves with. And so we are like-minded, and they will not stop struggling for achieving what they feel that they wanted to achieve. Sometimes it is with lots of struggle, sometimes just to relax and let everything fall apart, and they feel good about it. But one way or another, but then it will keep on changing until the true freedom, true liberation is achieved. So this can be misunderstood very easily, because if we say, I pray that may I assist all sentient beings to become Buddha, and then that can be misunderstood very easily, saying that I wish I can make all sentient beings Buddhist. You know, that is totally upside down. Is Buddha Buddhist? Is Prince Siddhartha Buddhist? Of course he is beyond Buddhist, but he became Buddha. Buddha is a Sanskrit word. It is not a title. It is not anything. It is describing one who is totally free from all that obscures his or her potential, and one who developed totally and awakened totally his or her ultimate potential. And that is Buddha. And so that is a Sanskrit word. It means fully awakened, fully developed, or fully mature. That's what it means. So that is the Mahayana's way, the Bodhisattva's way, and some Bodhisattvas, such as Avalokiteshvara, take vow not to attain enlightenment until last sentient being attain enlightenment. And then the great Mother Tara, the green Tara and white Tara and the 21 Tara manifestation manifest, and their vow is, you, the Avalokiteshvara, manifest for all sentient beings as a father, to help them to be free from all aspects of suffering. And we manifest as a mother for all sentient beings, to assist them and help them to be free from suffering and achieve their unconditional, limitless freedom, which is nothing else than their potential, their primordial, uncorruptible potential. So that is Bodhisattva's vow. Now that will lead to the final teachings of Lord Buddha in his life, physical life. He taught for over 45 years after his enlightenment. And during that time, then last part, or the highest aspect of teaching, maybe that is better description, is transformation. So it is like the light of the sun and the shadow of the sun. So light of the sun and the shadow of the sun are totally connected. If sun does not have light, sun will not have shadow. Therefore, our primordial perfect essence is like the sun. And when we don't recognize it, then it becomes the shadow. So, 5 wisdom that I will talk in the third session, as you have requested to talk on all the 5 aspects of teachings. There's so many 5s. So many 3s as well, so many 2s as well, but so many 5s. Few of them I will elaborate next. So there, the 5 defilement is the absence of the recognition of the 5 wisdom. That is 5 defilement. Now, leave the detail for the next teaching. But then here, mahasiddha. Mahasiddha is one who practiced that part of the Lord Buddha's teaching of the transformation, which is generally known as Tantra. Tantra actually means continuation. And so this aspect of Lord Buddha's teaching, there are so many: Kriya Tantra, Upa Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Mahatantra, Anu Tantra, Ati Tantra, so many. But essence of all of that is to transform. Now, who managed to transform themselves totally in one lifetime, so that is known as mahasiddhas. And then I'm sure you heard about 84 mahasiddhas. So it doesn't mean in Buddha's lineage, past 2,600 years, there's only 84 mahasiddha. It doesn't mean that. But 84 mahasiddha was one particular group of mahasiddha. We are sorry for using that word. They are not traveling around as a group, but it happened that way at one time. So therefore it is 84 mahasiddha. How did it happen? The Bodh Gaya, where the Prince Siddhartha attained Buddhahood. That Bodh Gaya, the sacred place of Bodh Gaya, is not just a stupa where people do pilgrimage only. It was an enormous learning center. Perhaps not as big as Nalanda or Bikramshil or Takshil, not as big as them, but it was very, very significant and a very sacred place. And there was a huge number of monks and nuns studying. And there was a great enlightened masters and great learned mahapandits. So mahapandits and mahasiddha, they are two things, but some mahapandits are mahasiddha also. Like Nagarjuna of Nalanda is mahapandit as well as mahasiddha. As His Holiness Dalai Lama describes 17 mahapandits and mahasiddhas of the Nalanda is the source of all the teachings of Lord Buddha. Not only the intellectual, but also sacred practice. Not only sacred practice and rituals, but also intellectuals and teachings, and then investigating into the subject thoroughly. Similarly, in Bodh Gaya, there was a great master, Mahapandit and Mahasiddha, known as Dorje Denpa. Dorje Den means Bodh Gaya. So Dorje Denpa. So this great Mahasiddha Dorje Denpa, in part of his practice, he performed a Gana Chakra. That is a sacred, let's say, yogic feast. And in that sacred yogic tantric divine feast, then all the mahasiddhas were invoked, invited, maybe the right word perhaps, but it sounds like you send them invitation cards. It's not like that, invoked. And how many came there? That time was 84 mahasiddhas, So 84 mahasiddhas, the biography of each one of them is enormous. But just give you some idea. The first one is Luhipa. Second one is Lilapa. Third one is Virupa. Fourth one is Dombipa, for example. And then from there onward, up to 84. So 82nd is Lakshikara. 83rd is Samudra Mahasiddha. And 84th is Bialipa. So these are the 84 mahasiddhas. And it is self-explanatory, each one of them not identical in their biography, because in Tantra, every aspect of livelihood and also every aspect of daily life is always part and parcel of the practice. It has to be. If you are a locksmith, you open the lock of the wisdom. And we all locked out of our own wisdom, therefore we are ignorant. So locksmith developed the key to open the door of the wisdom, like that. And if somebody is a shoemaker, and then we cannot cover the entire earth with some kind of a carpet. But if we make a shoe for our own little foot, it is actually equivalent and better than carpeting the entire earth. Great master Shantideva said that, not exactly with these words, but the same meaning in the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara. one of the 17 Mahapandits and Mahasiddhas of the Nalanda. So like this. So each one of these 84 Mahasiddhas who manifested during the Gana Chakra of the Mahapandit and Mahasiddha Dorjit Denpa at the holy abode of Bodh Gaya. So that is why there is 84. And then I give you example with Telopa and Naropa. I think many people are familiar with Telopa and Naropa, and also our Guru Padma Sambhava. Let's start with Guru Padma Sambhava. Guru Padma Sambhava manifested in 8 manifestations. I will not go with all the details that you can read in many sacred books. Of course, to understand it correctly, you should have the transmission of those texts and then read them. But you can read them without transmission also. Of course, you can understand. It's written in understandable language. So, Guru Padma Sambhava manifesting in 8 places, and one of the 8 places, for example, is a Bodhanath in Nepal. And one of the 8 places is a Taktsang, Paro Taktsang, the tiger's nest in Bhutan, the kingdom of Bhutan. Like this, there's 8 manifestations. Each manifested in specific way to fulfill a specific task for the sake of all sentient beings. And how? Well, it's self-explanatory. You go to the kingdom of Bhutan and see the tiger's nest cave and the monastery there, and how people worship it, and not only worship it, how much blessing they receive from it. You know, it is the Vajrayana kingdom of Bhutan. And then the Bodhanath Stupa. How many people goes around it every day since the existence of it until now, and it will go on and on and on. And how much devotion it generates, and how much pure inspiration and aspiration it generates. And then above all, the Guru Padma Sambhava is responsible for establishing the Buddha Dharma fully in Tibet. Of course, Buddha Dharma came to Tibet before Guru Padma Sambhava came to Tibet, of course. It should be 7th century. That is the 33rd king of Tibet, which is Songtsen Gampo. And he became, I think, many texts mention, and his story is self-explanatory. He became the emperor of Tibet. His reign was not very long, but he became the emperor of Tibet. Superficially speaking, many texts and histories describe during his time, Tibetan Empire is about 4,600,000 square kilometer coverage, maybe more, but that is how many historical contexts describes. So, for example, during his time, of course, many of the translations already started. And coming of the Dharma started a long time back. But the true translation and the teaching and everything started during the time of King Songtsen Gampo. Through his queens, Hunsen Kongjo and the Palza Chichun. Then the Buddha's image and relic and so many things brought to Tibet. And Tibetan writing, the Tibetan writing is always there. But that was specially based on Sanskrit and grammar and Sanskrit alphabet, and anything which is not conducive to Tibetan words, then few alphabets are added, and few are taken out. Other than that, it is based on Sanskrit. And then the grammar is copied from the Sanskrit, and that way it was perfect for translating the sacred Dharma. So that is done by one of the 18 lineage of Vajrayana Buddhism of Tibet, out of which 10 are the academic lineage. So the first of the academic lineage, that is Thumi Sambhota. He is not just a genius, he is enlightened mahasiddha himself. And as a result of that, in his lifetime, in short span of time, he created the entire system of writing, grammar, everything. And so that through that, the entire teachings are translated, of course. Then now, from the time of, I like to share with you this particular aspect of his work. Actually, the great king Songtsen Gampo wrote quite few volumes of sacred texts. Out of them, one set is called Manikampum. It's about Om Mani Padme Hum, but not only the mantra, so much. It is a huge volumes. So in this, he gave 8 example or 8 advice. It is about impermanent, and also everything is being an illusion. So he based this teaching on Lord Buddha's teaching, one sutra called Tingenzin Jalpo. Translated, I think original Sanskrit terminology is Samadhi Raja Sutra. So out of which he took this out and put it in his work as advice. Shaldam. Shaldam means advice. So body is just like a illusory creation. Because body is body manifests out of the coming together of elements, and 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space. And therefore, as it came together itself is just an illusion, because so many things came together and it fall apart. So it does not last. It is impermanent. And then second, he say the home, from palace to the humble person's just a hut, everything, even a tent, everything is like the illusory city of spirits. because it will not remain. It will fall apart. It will come to an end. It can be destructed. For example, when we make offerings to the altar, or when we keep a pot full of water, then after we finish the water, we put a cover on the pot, and we put the offering bowls on the side, so we just don't leave it open. Then the spirit city can be developed there, and then as you fill it with water or offering next day, you destroy you devastate the entire city. So that is one of our habit, but it have a base. So the King Songtsen Gampo say, this is how our homes are. And then next is all of our relatives and friends, and if you are a guru, all the disciples, and if you are a disciple guru and everything, it is just like a dream. Soon as you wake up, it's not there. So as soon as we die, all of these things will be definitely not there for us. But we don't even have to die, because somebody come together means separate. So like myself, my father no more, my mother no more, so many no more. And my Guru Vajradhara passed away in 1981, like that. So of course, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, including my Guru Vajradhara, all in my heart, of course, but physically gone. So it's just like a dream. That's what the king says. And then all the wealth is just like a magical magic, because you perform magic, and then after that, it's gone. You cannot make a magic castle and then have it as a castle for thousands of years or hundreds of years. No. So it is gone. Then all the existence is just like the reflection of the moon in the water. Because it is there, you can see, but it is not there at the same time. Moon is up there, not down here. And it is reflection of all the causes and conditions. Then the sixth is the king advised about the fame. Fame is like an echo. So soon as echo started, then it disappears. So fame come and fame go. So like this. And then the king says that food and beverage, which we need to sustain ourselves, is like the mirage. The mirage always there, but you cannot be fulfilled, because all our life we have been eating, we have been drinking every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, again breakfast, lunch, dinner, in between supper and tidbits here and there, and then we're never satisfied. So it is like a mirage. In the desert, the wildlife get thirsty because of the hot sun. Then they look for water, they see the mirage, they go and go after it, and they never get the water, but they see the water like this. We keep on drinking, we keep on eating all our life, but never get totally satisfied. And so like this, and then finally he say, sentient beings are like space. There is no end. So sentient beings are like space. It is innumerable, and it cannot be counted. We count the humans on earth. We count the animal species on earth, which is very good because so many of them go extinct. So it is our duty to do something about it. But anyway, the entire space is filled with the universes, and universe is filled with sentient beings. And we know we don't see sentient beings on the planets that we have traveled. Humans traveled on moons, and we haven't seen any sentient beings there, but that is our type of sentient beings. It doesn't mean there's no sentient beings. Every universe, every planet is full of sentient beings. Our body itself is full of sentient beings. From hair to toenail, it is full of sentient beings. We don't have one smallest space in our body where isn't a number of sentient beings. And so this way, the King Songtsen Gampo's teaching about everything as being an illusion. So what he's saying is don't get attached and don't grasp on anything. Of course, you should do your best to make best out of everything, but don't get obsessed about anything because everything is impermanent. And don't make bad karmas to maintain the illusion. Of course, he, as a king, he managed to make an empire so big. His reign was, if the modern calculation of his biography and the years are correct, then his reign on the throne was less than 25 years or around that much. And so much he has achieved, of course. But then he is not holding on to it in an obsessive and neurotic manner. That's why he wrote these texts for us to learn. So he is one example of mahasiddha. Excuse me. And then now back to Guru Rinpoche. Then Guru Rinpoche brought the Dharma and established in Tibet during the time of King Chisong Detsen. And the bodhisattva Shantarakshita, the great abbot, and the king Chisong Detsen invited Guru Rinpoche because bodhisattva Shantarakshita advised the king. And upon arrival of Guru Rinpoche, then he tamed entire Tibetan environment and Tibetan spirits and gods and then humans. And it took both the bodhisattva Shantarakshita, the abbot, and king, the emperor Chisong Detsen, to invite Guru Rinpoche to establish fully. So Guru Rinpoche is manifestation of Avalokiteshvara, and so that is one example of mahasiddha. Another example is a Telopa. Another example is a Naropa. So Telopa, he was born in Chetgaon. Right now, I think it is in Bangladesh, Chetgaon. And then that was year 988. And first he became monk, and his name was, he was given the name Pragya Bhadra. Then many years of practice and many efforts and hardships, sacrifices that he have endured. And then from great masters like Charyapa, Guhepa, Dadikaba, etc. From all of these great masters, enlightened mahasiddhas and mahasiddhinis. So from all of them, then he received so many teachings and transmissions, but all summarized into 4. And then, of course, the Sanskrit origin is very profound and precise, but superficially speaking, first Mahamudra, second Chandali, third Dyotiskara, fourth Shakarita Yoga. So these are just some examples of how it is described. So Mahamudra means everything is manifestation of the ultimate. So through any means you can attain enlightenment. I can give you a very, very, very simplistic example. We all drink water, right? I drink water here, you know? So, who knows how to drink water ultimately? When do you know how to drink water ultimately? When you reach Buddhahood. The same way with everything. If you are a painter, artist, when will you know how to paint perfect, how to create a perfect art, perfect, ultimate art that you can attain when you reach when you become mahasiddha, the great mahasiddha of painting. So that way, when you see the mahasiddhas iconography, some of them holding an arrow, some of them holding a hammer, some of them making shoe, some of them like cooking, so many things like that. And so each one of these have the potential because it is connected to the same source. But of course, if we get obsessed and we get attached, then and we grasp, then everything becomes an obstacle. That's why in first teaching of Buddha, he never taught this part. Because people are so new to his teaching, so they get confused. Therefore, black and white, very clear. But then, second teaching, then disciples are more mature, then motivation, the bodhicitta, compassion, love, kindness, you know, the 4 basic principles of bodhicitta. That is unconditional and immeasurable and boundless compassion, love. Then love will include love and kindness. Then the joy and delight. then all of that equanimity. So these four quality. So with these four quality as a base and guideline, you practice the bodhicitta, the loving kindness and compassion, and that will turn and transform into wisdom. So anything we do with this kind of motivation, then everything will transform into wisdom. And then final transformation of wisdom is what the mahasiddha and great mahasiddha represents. And Tilopa's disciple Naropa, for example, Naropa was a great scholar, and he is actually one of the Nalanda's highest accomplished Mahapandit. Nalanda's four main gate. So he is in charge of the north gate, and he protects Nalanda in the north gate. But how do he protect? Through his intellectual knowledge. To enter, then have to go through his blessing. And anybody who wanted to challenge the efficacy and accuracy of the substantialness of philosophy, then he will be challenging them. And there is no way for anybody to intellectually overcome his knowledge and his wisdom. So he was like that. But then he heard the name and the great, let's say, realization of Tilopa. Then he left Nalanda position, and he went to look for Tilopa. And in search of Tilopa, he went through 12 minor but very serious tasks. And some people described it as a test, but it is a process. His maturing process. And then he finally came across the Tilopa, and after seeing the Tilopa, receiving the teachings on this way, then until he received the final transmission, he had to go through, and he went through 12 great, severe tasks. You can say test if you like. And then finally, he attained enlightenment. So this is exactly like all the other 84 Mahasiddhas in the name of that particular biography set, and many others. And in Tibet, you know, great Marpa Lotsawa, the great Milarepa. I think Milarepa and Marpa Lotsawa, many people know. So they are example of Mahasiddha. But in Tibet, so many Mahasiddha. In Tibet, there is 8 practice lineage of Vajrayana Buddhism, and 10 academic lineage of Vajrayana Buddhism. Each one of them have enormous amount of Mahasiddhas. The lineage of each one of them are continued from those Mahasiddhas. Then 10 academic lineage also. Each one of them involved with a great Mahapandit and Mahasiddhas. Now, I mentioned a lot about Mahasiddha, and this much is enough. So let's just focus on one very simple aspect of practice. Because why you asked me to talk about Mahasiddhas is not just try to give you some list of biographies to read, legends, not that. How can we practice it right here? How can we right now practice it right here? Okay. So, first of all, you look at yourself. We are looking at everybody. We have done enough of that. But you look at yourself, by yourself. Now subject and object become one. At the beginning it's difficult, but don't try to make some kind of mental loop in order to see yourself. Just remain there and see yourself. Then you see problems, your suffering, your fear, your dissatisfaction. You feel that injustice, so many things, and also hopelessness. And look at them deeper and deeper. Then just as the great emperor Songtsen Gampo have mentioned, just like a magical illusion. It's there long as you hold on to it, but as soon as you look into it, it transforms. Long as you wanted to push it away and you wanted to brainwash yourself, this is not happening to me. No. Nothing is happening to me, nothing is happening to you ultimately. But everything is happening to you, everything is happening to me relatively. First step is have to look at it. And positive aspect, appreciate. But don't hold on to it. And negative aspect, then you look at the cause and conditions of it. Anything happening to me have everything to do with me in this life, or if I cannot find any cause and condition in this life, then it definitely has to be in the past life. Have to be. Nothing happens without cause and condition, isn't it? So that way you see everything is just manifestation of its cause and conditions. Once you see this, then you have motivations to do something about it, because you see hopefulness. A person who look at your life, or one's own life, or one's own situation, you will never be a hopeless person. You will be a hopeful person, full of hope, full of enthusiasm, and full of positiveness. Because when you have self-esteem, you are positive. Of course, sometimes we think we have to have a self-esteem, then we try to boost ourselves to look like something, look like a person with self-esteem, but it's not self-esteem. Self-esteem truly comes when you see your good part, and also side by side you see your negative part, and you see why And why will go forever, but don't get obsessed about why forever. But right there, if some rock fall onto my head, I know why, because I threw it up, isn't it? So the same way, all good things happening to me, a rain of flowers showers upon me. Why? Because I threw it up. Or somebody is happy with what I have done, so they showered it on me. So this way, we know, and we don't have misgivings in a harmful magnitude. Of course, we will have some misgivings until we reach the mahasiddhahood. But it will be less and less harmful, more and more beneficial. Positiveness is not just opposite of negative, but when negative transforms, it becomes positive. So there's so much more to say, but I end here because I talked more than 45 minutes. I don't want to exhaust all of you. Anyway, this teaching has been meaningful for you because it is meaningful for me. I really recollected the teachings of all of my great masters, and then their admirations and also inspirations about all the great masters. So I am very, very, very blessed by it, and I hope you receive some of it if you like. But anyway, everything that I said here is at your request, and sincerely with the motivation to benefit you, to become more happy person. And if you are happier, your family will be more happier and more positive. And that way the neighborhood, that way the whole world will be a much happier place. Of course, we are not here to change the world with our own some kind of credit, of course not. But transform, yes. Each individual we can transform. As a Buddhist, highest thing that we can say is reach Buddhahood. But as follower of other faiths or non-believers, you must have something highest and deepest. You can be that. You can definitely be that. And I, as a Buddhist, I can be Buddha. You can be Buddha. Everybody can be Buddha. For some, little bit more effort, some less effort, but definitely need effort. Okay. Let's dedicate the merit of this teaching for the benefit of all sentient beings to reach Buddhahood. And of course, immediately, now world is coming out of this pandemic, looks like. So may there be no other waves. And if there is, may it be small waves, not big waves like the past ones. So sincerely wish for that and pray for that and dedicate for that. Sunam de tamje zigbani tomne nyebe danam pamje ne chegan nanje balap trupa ye sibian sole Drowa drowa shon jambalapa we chitar chemba dang kundu zangbo teyang tejinde dada kunje jeso dalub jing gewan de datamje rabtu ngo jina dewa tsoso pendien namka chabarjo duna dunghar dagi kur korwa dunghar je jamso tong barisho.